Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name's Mike and this is Build and Tinker, and the nights may not be dark right now, but the dark night always is, and it's 39 to 44 the issues that we're going to complete today for the 1989 Batmobile, and it's mostly focusing on the big turbine intakes that you see on the side of the car, and we're also going to do one of the seats. So let's get started. So these are the parts for issue 39. They were in bags, but I've unbagged them to make it easier to see on camera. We are going to need this. This is what we made in the issue 38. Don't need it immediately, but we're going to need that. And we're going to start by assembling some of these different pieces here. So we've got this curved piece of piping. Comes in two halves. And these parts are literally going to push together. Like so. Snap fit, very straightforward. So we have these two halves of pipe. They will go together, but initially we need to attach this piece to this. So you see there's a little post there. Sorry, there's a hole there and a post there. So we're going to line those up. In fact, it does click together, but we are going to put a screw in there as well. So we put a B screw in there. Then the other half just clips over the top. And we're going to put a screw there to hold it together. There is a D screw. Okay, and that's now attached. Then we move on to these two metal pieces here. They're square pieces that go together. And you can see we've got some posts and some holes, and it all kind of lines up. It's pretty obvious. So you see there's a hole here with two other little holes, and that's for the post on the end of this piece we just put together. And we need to attach this so that with this large post at the bottom, this is going to stick that way. Okay, so it looks like that. It's important to get the orientation right. There's a D screw holds that in. So now we take this piece from issue 38, and it's got this skirt here. So we're going to hold that at the top, and this is going to sit in here like so. You'll see there's posts. It all kind of lines up quite nicely, and it will actually just push into place to start with, which is handy because it makes it easier to screw it in. But that sits like that. We're going to put an A screw into the middle there. Okay, that's now held in nice and tight. Then we have this long pipe. This pipe is also going to go onto here and be screwed in, but it's going to then fit into the bottom of that piece we just installed. So we'll probably put that in first, and then we can sit it over the top of this hole here and hopefully hold it in place while we get the screw, which is a D screw. So let's get that one in. Okay, that's now nicely secured as well. And finally, we have this little piece here. So you'll see it's got these long posts on one side and they're shorter on the other. So we're going to be inserting the long posts into here. Yeah, and then there's a central little post for the middle as well. And we just line that up, give it a little push. Doesn't push on very far, seems to be relatively sturdy. I'd bet my mortgage that it's going to fall off at some point one day, so I will probably just dab a little bit of super glue on that one. And that's it. This piece is now complete. We obviously can't attach it to a body because we don't have one yet. And we'll move on to issue 40. Okay, so quite a few pieces here in issue 40, including the large air intake that's going to go into that side manifold. This is actually metal, so it's quite a nice heavy piece. But before we get to that, we've got some smaller parts, and we're going to again be installing them onto this side intake skirt. So we'll get the pieces out of the way that we don't need right now, but we do start with this double pipe here. Okay, and it's going to go onto the bottom here. You can see there's two holes, and there's also a square hole in the bottom of that, and that's going to accept this square piece. So I'm going to start by trying to insert the square hole. Now it might not be super easy to see, but I'm going to try and do it so you can. This inserts into here, like that, and then that positions these pipes over those two little holes there. There are two little screws to go in there. They're E screws. obviously we need to screw those in from underneath, so we're going to hold it in place while we do that. And then there's this round piece, and it's got 3 little posts on the bottom, and it just pushes into place, but we need to make sure we get it the right way around. So this wider piece here is going to be toward the skirt, like so. So it's going to be like that, which is what the picture suggests. Next we need to take these 2 pieces. There's the one is hinged onto the other, so we're going to assemble the hinge like so, and I think it just clicks in. Okay, just clicks together. And we're going to put this, you'll notice there's a post and a screw hole, and there's a little hole here. So the post goes into that little hole. Pop a D-screw from behind to hold that whole thing in place. Don't know if we're supposed to close it or not, but it does hinge. Next we're going to take our large air intake, this large metal piece here, and they've given us a black grill. So it's not circular, it's a slightly odd shape because it's going to go in here, and we need to make sure we get it installed the correct way. So according to the picture, see there's a little cutout on that one side. They're showing the cutout facing inwards. It doesn't, yeah, there is something, it's hard to show, but right down in there's a little groove, and there is a little thing for that cutout to sit into. So we're going to try and achieve that. So we're just sliding it in from here, just making sure you can see. And it kind of sits in a little groove like that. Okay. And to hold that in, we've got a cover piece. This piece is plastic, and it looks like it just clips into place over these posts like so. And now this whole assembly can be inserted into this. So it goes in this way. And it just lays in place like that, and you'll see the post will line up with those tabs just. I'm going to put 2 B screws in there. Okay, that is now attached. We've got our first look at the side pod with all of its ancillaries installed, and the big air intake with its grill in there. That looks pretty special. And that's it. That's all we do for issue 40. It's a nice big piece finished, and I think we'll be moving on to the next one. So let's take a look at issue 41. So here are the components for issue 41. It's the beginning of the intake for the opposite side of the car, and we've got a couple of bits to add to it. I think this is pretty similar to issue 38 when we started the one for the other side. I don't know, I can't remember which is left and which is right. So I will show you very quickly how these bits went on. So we're going to start with this black piece. Most of these pieces I think are push fit, and we do have some screws for a couple of pieces. So the black piece here literally push fits over this hole there. Very, very simple. Similar again with this silver piece, it's just a push fit and it goes over this hole here. Easily done. And then we have this little pipe fitting. That goes on the back. It's going to sit over this little post here. Push it into place. And then we use a D-screw. And that's it. A really, really quick issue with those parts added. So we'll jump straight into issue 42. Now, issue 42 is basically the same as issue 39. We are going to be fitting the exact same pieces we literally just did a couple of minutes ago onto the opposite side of the car. So I'll get that done nice and quick. There we go, issue 42 complete with these ancillaries now added to this panel. So we'll move on to issue 43. So with issue 43 being basically the same as issue 41, but for the opposite side of the car, I'll just route through that and get it done. And there we are, by the end of issue 43, we've now got this matching pair of side intakes with all the different bits of machinery that go on them. You could choose if you wanted to sort of whether these are little, some oil stains, something like that. I'm sure Batman keeps his Batmobile in full working order, but even a fully functioning machine will have some signs of use. So a little bit of weathering wouldn't go amiss here, particularly on these pieces. So yeah, they look great. We can't fit them to anything yet, but we'll move on to issue 44. I need to find somewhere safe to put these so they don't get damaged in the meantime. So this is issue 44, and the parts that we have for it. This is the driver's seat. We've got the base, another bracket of some sort, and then the top, which is like a rubberized material, and it's been sort of stressed to make it look like it's a leather seat. It's actually pretty well done. It's got some good detail on it, actually. You can even see like the stitching lines along here. So I think they've done a pretty good job of this. It doesn't look too shiny and plasticky, which you don't want for a realistic looking seat. Assembly I think is going to be quite straightforward. We're going to start with the base and with this bracket, and the bracket is simply going to push through these 3 holes here in the base. That's a nice firm click, and then that will present some mounting points underneath. To hold this in place, we're going to put a couple of screws. They are T screws. First time we've used those in this model. There's just 2 of them, and they go underneath here just to firmly attach the bracket to the actual seat base itself. They're countersunk, so make sure they sit flush. There we go. Now I thought the next step was to actually attach the rubber part of the seat. You can see how it slides in. However, the picture shows us to leave it separate. Maybe we have to attach this to the floor of the car first. Who knows? But those are the pieces we're left with. That's literally the end of issue 44, so super quick and easy. We'll pop these in the box with all the other bits, and we'll wait for something to attach it to. We don't really have much chassis yet for this, but I'm sure we're getting close. We're now at sort of the 1/3 stage, aren't we? Issue 44, we're just past the 1/3 stage. So hopefully it won't be long before we get some chunky bits of chassis and we can start putting this together. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please click the like, and if you didn't, then don't. Please feel free to comment. Let me know how you're getting on with your build, and if you're doing any mods or changes or doing anything different. I'm actually building 2 of these 89s, not sure why, but maybe I'll mod one and not the other, or maybe I'll raffle one off at the end. We'll see. Maybe have a think about that. But in the meantime, have yourself a great day. I look forward to seeing you next time, and take care.